Hello and welcome to the Adobe Creative Suite podcast. My name is Terry White, and in this episode, this very special episode, I get to do something I've been waiting to do for a very long time, and that is do an update to my how to create apps for the iPad using InDesign. But the reason I waited is because the process just got a whole lot easier and a lot less expensive. So what do I mean by easier? Well, first of all, with the introduction of InDesign CS6, we now have the ability to do alternate layouts, which significantly reduces the amount of work you had to do in the past to do your vertical and horizontal layouts. Secondly, if you're a Creative Cloud member, the process just got a lot less expensive. So instead of having to buy a single edition license for each app at $395, you now get to create an unlimited number of apps as a Creative Cloud member. Unlimited. You want to create an app every day? Create an app every day. So unlimited app creation, all in InDesign, without having to write code. Let's take a look. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time building overlays and doing the interactivity because I've done that before. That part of it doesn't change. And I'll do new episodes about new interactivity as time goes on. I will create one interactive element in this just to show you the process, but most of this is already built because I've already shown you how to do these kinds of things. Now I'm starting with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 documents open in InDesign. And these are the 5 documents that are going to make up my app. So I'm starting with a cover. And as you can see, it has both the vertical and horizontal or landscape layouts in it. That is a part of the alternate layout feature inside InDesign CS6. And on the page, it's just got some simple elements. It's got my logo. It's got an image sequence slideshow that plays automatically. It's got an audio file that plays some nice music in the background. It's got a logo, which, at some point I'll probably turn that into a button so that users know they can click that button to actually get to the portfolio or get to the next page. And I encourage you, since you're building apps, to use arrows and use navigation so that users know where to go in your app. Okay, so now let's head over to the second document or the second article of this application. Now in this one, I haven't finished it yet. This is the part I'm going to do in front of you. I'm going to put an interactive element on the page, and I'm going to go ahead and create the alternate layout for you. So first, let's go ahead and build the interactive element. And this is kind of one that I'm going to sneak a cool new way to do a image sequence. I work with my buddy Colin Fleming. I gave him the idea, and we were both sitting together on the phone trying to figure out how to make it work. And he discovered the missing piece that I didn't know. But we're going to go ahead and take a look at how to do that. So first, I'm going to head over to Photoshop. And in Photoshop, what I want the interactive element to do is I have a before and after shot of my studio. So if you look on the layers, here's the after shot on top, which I'm going to hide. And on the bottom is the before shot. I'm sorry, the before shots on top and the after shots on the bottom. And I want the user to basically start seeing this, but be able to swipe, like interactively to see what it looked like before. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't planning to do this. This took months of work to get the studio looking right. So I didn't shoot this, as 2 images that were going to be put together. So one's a little closer, slightly at a different angle than the other. But when you're doing this and you're planning ahead, you'd put the tripod in the same spot, you take the same exact angle, same settings, same camera, same lens, so that you get 2 shots that overlay better than what I did. But this will still work for the purpose of this demo. Now I have another layer that's turned off. We'll get to that layer in just a moment, but let's go ahead and build the interactivity. Now the missing piece before you start this is select all. So Command A on Mac, Control A on Windows, select the entire image. That was the part we didn't know at first, and Colin had the brainstorm to figure that out later. But now that I've selected all, what we're going to do is we're going to add a layer mask that hides the entire before picture. So the way you do that is you hold down your Option or your Alt key, and you click the Add Layer Mask, and that just builds a mask that hides the whole thing. And we're going to unlock that mask from the image. So now that mask can move independently of the image. It doesn't have to, the image doesn't move with it. Now we need to do the animation part, and this is where Photoshop CS6 comes in. Because of the nice timeline, we can do some cool interactive stuff there. So I'm going to just go ahead and show my timeline here. And when I show the timeline panel, it hadn't done anything yet. So I'm going to say create a video timeline. In other words, take everything I've done in my layers panel and make a timeline out of it. And it's done just that. So now we're on layer 0. Yes, I encourage you to name your layers. This would be the before layer. And this would be the after layer. We don't have to say layer. And this would be the scan line, which we'll get to that in a moment. So we're going to go back to the before layer. We're going to go back to the mask. Now we're going to twirl this down, and we're going to animate the layer mask position. So we just click the stopwatch, and we're going to start the position where it is now. Then we're just going to advance the playhead all the way to the end, and all the way to the end. There we go. And we're just going to simply pick up the mask, start moving it, hold down your shift key so that you don't move it up and down by mistake. We're just moving it straight across all the way to the edge. And you can move it off the edge if you want, but there it is. So now over time, that's what would happen. It would basically reveal the before shot. All right, so now we go back to the beginning, and we're going to just add a little thing that's going to make it kind of cooler, and that is that third layer. We're going to turn on that third layer. And that third layer is basically just a blue bar with an outer glow on it, kind of resembling like a scanner or a copy machine, that light that goes across. So we're going to animate the position of that same way. Start it over on the left-hand side, move the playhead all the way to the right-hand side, move the blue line all the way to the right-hand side, holding down the shift key so that we don't accidentally, move it up and down. Oh, sorry about that. Let's deselect all. Let's grab that and move it all the way over. There we go. All right, so now it moves with the image. There we go. There's our scanner kind of revealing the before shot underneath the after shot. Okay, so that's it. That's all the Photoshop work we need to do. So now we're going to render video, but we're not going to really make it a video, but that's the way we export this. We're going to say export, render video. And you have a couple choices when you do a render video. We can render it as a video, which that wouldn't do much good here. We're going to instead of using the media encoder, we're going to export it as a Photoshop image sequence. So this is where we're going to go in, and we're going to say that we want what folder we want it in. Very important, because you'll be looking for it later. So I'm going to select the folder. Let's go to my demo files here. And let's just call, actually, let's go to my, let's go out here. Yeah, let's go ahead and put it out to the just the main folder of the hard drive. Actually, yeah, let's put it on the main folder hard drive. Normally you would put it in with the rest of your project, and that's where it would go, but I'm just going to put it out here for the sake of finding it easily. So we'll call this one Studio Before, After, and we'll just click OK. That's the folder it's going to go in. And now we need our frame rate to be whatever size or whatever number of frames we want. Now keep in mind, it's going to be 30 frames per second by default. That's probably too many images it's going to generate. So I'm going to drop it down to 10. And last but not least, we don't need it to be the full size of the original images, and especially if you're working with large megapixel digital camera images, you definitely don't want it to be the same size, because it will just be too big and the animation will be too big. So we're going to go ahead and drop this down in half. We're going to do 512 by 355. And last but not least, the other thing you want to check here is your JPEG settings, because it's going to make the images super high quality, which is great, but they may be too big and too slow. So let's drop the quality down just a bit. All right, so now let's click OK, and we will go ahead and do that render, which it will make all the frames for this image. And it'll take a few seconds to do that. Nice and speedy CS6, and it is done. So now we can go back to InDesign, and in InDesign, what we're going to do on this page, zoom in there, zoom up, there we go. And we're just going to draw a frame where we want this to be. And you don't have to worry about making the frame the right size because it's going to do it for you. So I'm just going to draw out a frame approximately the size that I need to be. We go to our Folio Overlays panel. And in our Folio Overlays, we want to create an image sequence. So we're turning that frame into an image sequence. Now this is where we go find the images we just exported. So we say load images. I put them on that particular hard drive on the root level, so that'd be easier to find. There it is, Studio before and after. There they are. They're all nice and numbered. And there it is. So see, it resized the frame to be perfectly fit. And now we get to tell it the options. We don't want any kind of autoplay or tap to play and pause or any of that because the user is going to swipe to change it. But we want them to only be able to go from the left side to the right side and back and forth. So that's why we stop at the first and last image. So now, by the way, without me having to worry about whether or not this works on the device, I can test it right here in InDesign. So if I do preview on desktop, that will launch our desktop viewer, which is part of your InDesign Folio tools that you downloaded or you upgraded to when you did cloud or when you did your CS6 update. And now we can swipe back and forth and see this work interactively. So I'm just using my mouse to move this back and forth and have it work. So that's how that will work inside the iPad. So now the next thing we need to do is build the alternate layout. And this is again, the part that I showed you how to do this with InDesign CS6, but just for a refresher, since we're now learning how to build apps, let's go ahead and do that. So we'll go to our Pages panel. Pages panel normally always showed you all the pages of your document, which it still does. But now for your layouts, you have a little flyout menu and you can say create alternate layout. Now, alternate layouts are based on whatever rules you did in your liquid layout. I didn't do any specific rules to any of these objects, so I'm gonna have to move them around. The only one I did it for was the background object on the master page. So that one should work perfectly. But I'll probably have to move the rest of the stuff around a bit on the new layout because I didn't take the time to make it an alternate or make it a liquid layout. So let's go ahead and go to Pages. And let's go ahead and say create alternate layout. And it will automatically propose the opposite layout, linking the stories, copying whatever styles it needs, and there it is. So if I double click on it, like I said, I'm going to need to move some of this stuff around. So we'll go to our Move tool and just reposition things where they need to be. And again, had I done liquid layout, that would have all happened nicer for me. All right, so there is my alternate layout. And I've done that same process for the other InDesign documents. So I have a landscapes portfolio, which has vertical and horizontal. I have a videos layout, which has vertical and horizontal. I have a Twitter feed, which has vertical and horizontal. So these are all the documents that will make up my new app. Now let's go build the app. So we go to our Folio Builder panel, which is where we always used to do this. And before, I would have had you sign in with your Adobe ID. I don't want you to do that anymore with this process. As a matter of fact, I'm signed in and it's showing me all of my professional built folios for the regular DPS system. So therefore, I'm going to sign out. Yes, I'm going to sign out as if I have never signed in, and you're going to not sign in. You're going to do this from scratch. So instead of signing in, what you're going to simply do is the new feature is come down here, and you're just going to create a new folio. You can create a new folio now without signing in. You can do this offline. So I'm going to say that this new folio is called Terry White Photography Portfolio. This is going to be my app. It automatically proposes iPad by default. It automatically will use the alternate layouts. It will automatically use the PDF format as opposed to PNGs and JPEGs. And I don't have to even worry about cover preview images because it's going to be a single edition app anyway. So we'll click OK, and that will build the structure for my app. Now I just need to add the InDesign documents as articles. So it's even proposing that I do that. So I'm just going to say add the Open InDesign document as the first article, and it's going to be called cover. It will automatically pick up the vertical and horizontal layouts. And it's just basically testing everything, making sure everything works. And there it is. So my cover is now built. I just simply switch to the next document. My studio document, we'll go ahead and add that article, add the open document, studio, click OK. Yes, I want to save it first. And it will go ahead and add that one. The next one is the portfolios. So we're going to just go ahead and add the open document. I'm going to call that portfolios. And we'll click OK, and it will add that document. So we have 2 more documents to go. And of course, I'm adding them in the order I want them in, by the way, as well, because you can reorder them, but it's just easier to do it ahead of time. Videos. And last but not least, Twitter. And this is basically just showing an example of a live internet feed in my application. Twitter, we'll call it Twitter feed. Click OK. And it's built my last folio. So now I back, okay, they're all there. And again, you can drag them up and down in order, but I'm going to go ahead and back out because they are in the order I want. And now we get to do the other new feature of the Folio Builder. And that is we can now build the app without having to do anything extra. So we can just say, new option right here, create app. So we'll say create app. Now it's going to ask me to sign in, and this is going to be the same Adobe ID you're registered with on Creative Cloud. And let me put in my Creative Cloud password as well. And I'm going to tell it to remember it, so I don't have to type in the email address anymore. And here's where you get the nice new welcome screen. This welcome screen is saying, welcome to the DPS App Builder, and it's also reminding you that if you're going to deploy this app on anything, even locally, you're going to need to be a developer because you're going to need certificates to do this. So it's even giving you the link to go register as a developer. That's Apple's process, not ours. And you log in, and it will give you the step-by-step guide as well as to how to get your certificates that you're going to need for this process. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. Now we'll go ahead and we're going to give it an app name. Now, anytime you see a field like this and you're wondering what it's asking for, you can hover over the little I and it will tell you what it wants. It's telling me it needs a name for the actual app icon, 13 characters or less. So TWP portfolio is exactly 13 characters. I counted. All right, so next it wants to know, and this is something you're also going to have to go build in Photoshop because this, again, part of the process is you're actually building an app. So you need icons and splash screens for your app. So I've gone ahead and built all the necessary sizes. Here, we'll go ahead and drag this folder over. All the necessary sizes that I need for my app, both for SD and HD. So we're going to go ahead and say that we want our SD, and I thank the developer who let me drag all these in at once without having to choose each one. So you can drag them all in. It will automatically identify which ones you need. And then we're going to go to HD, where I've built the HD versions of these as well. And there they are. Okay, so now we can go next. And now this is where it wants the Apple stuff, the stuff you got as a developer. So I'm going to scroll down to my iOS development certificates, where I'm going to give it my mobile provisioning file. Again, this is the one that you built as an Apple developer, as well as my distribution mobile provisioning. I could have drugged them both in at the same time. And then next, it's ready to create my app. So that's it. That was the process. So now I'm going to say create app. And it will take a few seconds to do this because it has to submit everything up to the queue to actually build the .8 IPA file. Once it's done, you will get a finish button. So you click finish, and it showed the app that I built earlier. And now it's building the new one. Now, we don't have to wait for it to build a new one because it's going to be exactly the same as this one. So once it's done building, you will then be able to click download for your developer one. This is the one you actually test on your iPad. And then you can also, if you're happy with that and it works the way you want, then you can download also the distribution one. And this is the one you actually submit to Apple via Apple's website as a developer, their iTunes Connect page. All right, so if I download the developer, there's one more step here. If I download the developer one to test on my own iPad, it's also going to ask for additional certificates that you built. You will build all of this through the process. So there's the one I built, and it wants the password for that one. And once I sign and download, it takes a few seconds to create the actual app and then download it to my, actually it's downloading it to my desktop right now. So that will download an actual app on your desktop, which we're going to go ahead and launch iTunes, because that's part of the process here. Do I have iTunes in the bar? Yes, I do. And yes, I agree to the terms. Once your app is built, you'll get the little message saying your app has been downloaded to your desktop, and you can just click OK. Your app will sit there again in your queue waiting for you to if you want to download it again or download the distribution one. Now we can actually head to the desktop here. And on my desktop is the actual app that it built. So I'm going to head over to iTunes now and just simply drag that app that it just built into iTunes. And iTunes will show me my app with my icon ready to sync to my iPad. And again, this is the developer one. This is the one that lets you test it on your iPad or any iPads you've provisioned in the developer process to test this app. So if I had the IDs of 20 iPads in my company or my friends and family, I can get their IDs for their iPads, put all of them in, provision them, and then I can give this app out to 20 people and it would be no problem. I don't have to go through the App Store for that. But if I want the world to be able to get this app, then I do, after I test it, download the distribution one and submit it to Apple. Now, let's take a look. Let's see what it actually looks like. So I'm going to head over to the iPad now. And here's my iPad. I'm going to go into the folder where I put the app. There's the actual app icon in the lower left-hand corner. We'll tap it, and it will launch the app and start playing the slideshow. And there it is. There's the cover of the app that we built in InDesign. I can swipe, and there's that studio one we built. We can again swipe back and forth to see the before and after shot. And again, this of course works vertically as well. So we can go vertically and we can see the portfolio image, and we can get to any one of these portfolios. We can swipe them left and right. I just built those as sliding slideshows. They could be image sequences or any other kind of overlay. And last but not least, two more things. We have the video, which the video will start playing. I can make it play full screen by tapping the controller and going full screen. And we can also go to the Twitter feed, my live Twitter feed in the app. So that's coming off the internet. So if you don't have an internet connection, that part wouldn't work. So there it is. Here it is, my interactive app that I built running on my iPad, not in the Adobe Content Viewer, but as an actual app that I built. So there you have it, using InDesign CS6 to create apps easily now for the first time, and unlimited for the first time if you're a Creative Cloud member. Now, if you're not a Creative Cloud member and you still want to do this, you can do everything I did, but you will have to buy a single edition license to actually be able to build the app. So again, membership has its privileges. I would definitely consider Creative Cloud if you're going to be doing this. So that's it for this episode of the Adobe Creative Suite podcast. My name is Terry White. Thanks for watching.